What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video, or welcome to the channel. Let's get straight into this absolute embarrassment of a main event for the new UFC Paramount era. Now, first, I'd like to start off with very entertaining. This was one of the most exciting fights we've seen in a while in the UFC. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about how this fight was for an interim belt at the lightweight division, where we have the most skilled guys in MMA. Lightweight division, most skilled division, known as the hardest, toughest division. And we had Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje fighting for the interim belt. As you know, Ilia Topuria was out. And going into this fight, everyone knew these guys should not be fighting for an interim belt. They should fight for some made-up other belt. But they're fighting for an interim belt. So you would at least expect these guys to have a good, skillful fight. No. All that went out the window when this fight started. Each of these fighters looked terrible. Now, did they both have cardio and chins? Yes, and that made the fight very entertaining. I like to stress again, I was, having fun with this fight. This was an amazing fight to watch. But, man, it was just embarrassing. The fact that, first of all, a lot of these delusional UFC fans are going to say, this is why UFC is better than boxing. Man, boxing is way, way more skillful. You would never see an interim belt or any title fight, any main event in boxing have this terrible of skill, this lack of skill, It really was embarrassing. And let me make sure I'm still recording, exposing myself. And you would like to think the number 4th ranked guy, Justin Gaethje, and the number 5th ranked guy, Paddy Pimblett, easy money, Paddy Pimblett, these guys would have a good, skillful fight. Guys, the fight started, and for the first few exchanges, I was like, okay, Paddy's getting into his game plan. Because going into this, I thought Paddy was going to win, I'm not coping right now. But I knew there was a very, very high chance Paddy was just going to leave his chin in the air, which he did, and get chinned, which he did get chinned, but he didn't get knocked out. Scousers don't get knocked out. Fight starts, I don't even have, I can't even remember the order of this fight. I just came off of watching this fight as I'm filming this. So, this is very recency bias, right? What was I going to say? But Paddy Pimblett, what are you doing? What is your corner doing? I know your game plan was to grapple, and you went out there, started striking the first 2 rounds. I know your game plan was to grapple, and you want to know how I know that? It's because I heard it from your coaches. Single leg, Paddy! Single leg, Paddy! Grapple! I heard it from your coaches, and I heard it when you were in the corner. Hey, go for a single leg. Blah, 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 this. Which, by the way, I don't know why Paddy would go for a single leg against Justin Gaethje. Like, Justin would defend a single leg pretty easy. But they were saying grapple. You weren't grappling. Round 1 and 2. Round 1 was a close round. Paddy Pimblett got knocked down in round 1. He lost round 1. Round 2, Paddy Pimblett got beat up very badly in round 2. Ground and pound at the end of round 2. Nasty by Justin Gaethje. I believe it was round 2. Justin Gaethje got on top. I think he knocked down Paddy Pimblett. First of all, Justin Gaethje, what are you doing with the eye pokes? I think it was in round 1, maybe? No, round 2, I think. Justin Gaethje framed against Paddy's head, poked him in the eye. Okay, refs saw it. They took a break for a second. Said, hey, don't do that again. End of round 2, I think, where Paddy got, knocked down, kind of. Gaethje threw a jab and stuck out his thumb. Paddy in the eye again. Should have been a point taken where the ref didn't see it. Paddy went down, and Gaethje put some nasty ground and pound on Paddy, where I thought Paddy was going to get knocked out, but luckily he was saved by the bell. Round 3 comes. Paddy starts putting on a good game plan. You're like, oh, wait. This guy had a good game plan the whole time. He starts peppering that jab, throwing them inside kicks, throwing them leg kicks. And he really was, honestly, dominating Justin Gaethje for a lot, just piecing up Justin Gaethje for a lot of that 3rd round. And near the end of the 3rd round, it kind of went to trash. But Paddy Pimblett did very well in that third round, and I thought the tide was turning. I really did thought the tide was turning. Paddy Pimblett peppering that jab. Paddy Pimblett wins the third round. He's still down 3-2. Next two rounds, same things as 1 and 2. Paddy Pimblett just loses. No game plan. Chin up in the air, kept chucking the same uppercut, not going for a single takedown. Paddy Pimblett has a good body lock takedown. When did he attempt that? In the 5th round. Like, what are you doing, really? Paddy should have timed his knees better. I thought knees were gonna be where he won, and he did have some good knees, but they weren't at the right time. He didn't attempt takedowns till late in the fight. He attempted like 1 in the 5th round. What are you doing? You're not gonna land a takedown in the 5th round after you haven't attempted it the whole fight. And you guys are slippery and tired. You're not gonna get a takedown. What are you doing, really? He showed Scousers don't get knocked out, but so what, man? You lost the fight. Now Justin Gaethje, I gotta say, first of all, congratulations to him. You know, he won the interim title again. You know, first guy to win 2 interim titles. Congratulations. 38 years old, 37 years old, I think. Very impressive. I gotta say, he looked terrible too. And this is what I'm saying. This was embarrassing. When you have guys like Ilia Topuria, Armin Tsarukyan, Charles Oliveira, Max Holloway at the top of your division, which, by the way, all 4 of those guys I listed off ranked ahead of both of these guys, and none of those guys are fighting for the interim title. It makes total sense, right? What was I gonna say? Yeah, you have all those guys, very skillful guys. Those guys would not go out there and have a fight like this. They wouldn't. Maybe Charles would, and that's it. But no, not even. They would not go out and have like a gross, like, just really like no game plan fight like this. And you have Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje doing it. Now, let's go back to Justin Gaethje. That's the topic I was on. What are you doing, Justin Gaethje? You could have finished this fight multiple times. First of all, Justin Gaethje looked fat and slow in the first like 2 rounds of this fight. I actually thought it was pretty embarrassing. I was laughing. I was like, what is this? And Paddy was about to get knocked out by him. He looked slow. He looked pretty fat too. I was really curious, like, did Justin Gaethje even train for the fight? But then he kept it on for the rest of the fight, and eventually out cardioing Paddy. Has some pretty good cardio. So, you know, I was a little wrong about that. But I got to talk about the positions and the grappling in this, man. Justin Gaethje, you've been grappling since you were 6 years old. You've been wrestling since you were 6 years old. When you have a front head and arm lock and Paddy Pimblett's on the floor, why aren't you going around for the back? Why aren't you going around tabling the leg, going around getting Paddy Pimblett's back? This is basic wrestling you learn, you know? You have a head and arm lock. Paddy's down. Go around. Get the back. It's not that hard to do. You know, you're watching it, you're like, Justin Gaethje was a D1 wrestler? I didn't know that. You know? Really, like, what are you doing? I saw Justin could have gone for a Darce. He could have tried. I didn't know what he was doing with that position. Paddy gave him opportunities to do good and get better position on ground and pound. And you would think Justin Gaethje would take it, but no, he doesn't. You know? So that was pretty embarrassing. I just like to say this was a complete embarrassment to, I say, the UFC. First of all, having this as a main event on your first, an interim title fight, by the way, as your main event with 2 guys who do not deserve to fight for the interim title. Maybe one of them do. Maybe Justin Gaethje does. Maybe Paddy Pimblett does. But not both of them fighting each other. We all know Armin Tsarukyan should have been here. And we all know if Armin Tsarukyan fought either of these guys, it would have ended in 1 or 2 rounds. Armin would have taken them down, submitted them. Or even knocked him out on the feet. I think Armin's a better striker than both of these guys. So, it really was embarrassing. I think the UFC really should take a look at this and be like, okay, let's not have an interim title fight main event again. Even though it was very entertaining. Probably fight of the year, honestly. Even though this is the first fight of the year, this was probably fight of the year. 2 guys who... It just shows the UFC's an entertainment business. You know, it's not a sport first business. If it was a sport first business, it would have been Paddy Pimblett versus Paddy Pimblett versus Armin Tsarukyan, or Armin Tsarukyan versus, like, I don't know. But I hope it's probably gonna be Justin versus Topuria at the White House. Meantime, do Armin Tsarukyan versus the winner of Oliveira and Holloway. I think that's good. Also, I gotta say, this card also proved no one watches the UFC anymore, or ever. I think, because if you looked, Umar Nurmagomedov versus Davison and Figueiredo, half the arena was empty. If you looked in the background, I was like, half the seats are empty. Those guys were the feature prelim, the last prelim, and half the seats were empty. That is embarrassing. And also, all these people who go to the UFC events were booing a bunch of times at parts you shouldn't be booing at, you know? I really am curious. Like, I think the UFC really is killing their own sport. I think the company's killing their own sport. I don't necessarily even think it's Dana White himself. I think it's everyone there. They need to make some changes fast and quick, or else Paramount Plus, they made a big mistake because, first of all, no promotion for this fight. Why did we? You guys saw, the Paramount Plus commercial where Paddy Pimblett had that hunchback. Everyone was making fun of his posture, and him and Justin Gaethje were facing off. Guess when that was recorded? 3 days ago. So you're telling me they recorded that 3 days ago before the fight? How are you ever supposed to promote that? Why wasn't there a face to face? Why was the opening press conference terrible? Why wasn't there a face to face? Why is a press conference? You would think they would change stuff up for, going to a new streaming platform, having a new host. But no, they still have the press conference 2 days before the fight during the weight cut. It really doesn't make no sense. They still don't have face to faces. They need to take a look at this and really decide if they want to kill their sport or not. But overall, point of this video, this fight, embarrassing. It shouldn't have been for an interim belt. And if it was for an interim belt, this just proved how unskillful MMA fighters are. It really did. These guys really did suck. They look like I'm going to be honest, they look like they shouldn't have even been ranked fighters. When you imagine if Ilia Topuria was fighting either of these guys, he would have smoked these guys in less than a round. Armin Tsarukyan would have choked one of these guys out in less than a round. Islam Makhachev, he's out of the division now, but if he was still in this division, he would have smoked these guys in less than a round. On the feet or in the grappling, he probably would have choked these guys out in less than a round. Charles Oliveira would have. Well, we've seen him choke out Gaethje. He would have choked out or knocked out Paddy on the feet in less than 2 rounds. Holloway would have. We saw him smoke Gaethje for 5 rounds. He would have smoked Pimblett too. He would have knocked out Pimblett. Even if Scousers don't get knocked out. Guys, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you guys thought about this this card in general. I want to talk about the whole card, but I just really don't want to right now. And I just want to talk about how embarrassing the main event was. Very entertaining, but come on, man. This is supposed to be the best in your sport. Embarrassing. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of this, and subscribe. Peace out.